Morning, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Love 500 and welcome back to the how-to series. Today we're going to show you the best way, in as much detail as I can, in its entirety, how to change a broken door handle. Passenger side, slightly different from the driver's side, pretty much the same, but there's only one rod, so it's slightly easier. So I'm going to show you in as much detail as possible. So let's do it, let's get on with it. See here, the handle is completely broken off. So as you probably all know, the hinges often go. If your hinge breaks and you leave it and you just operate the handle from here, give it a couple of weeks or so, and the entire thing will break off. It's only plastic, that bit, so it will break. Now the best thing to do, if that goes, fix it ASAP, then your whole handle might not break. The hinge costs you £5 or £6 from eBay. That's all you need to get, and that's a 20-minute job, something like that. Doing the whole handle is only slightly more difficult, but as I say, it is easier than doing the driver's side because there is only the one rod. The driver's side has the lock rod as well for the key, whereas this doesn't because this is locked electronically. So let's get the door card off first. We'll show you how to do that if you don't already know that. There is a video showing you how to take a door card off, but I'm going to do it and tell you how to do it in this video as well, so you've got everything you need to know all in one video. So let's do it. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to take the door card off, and the way you do that is you get a screwdriver in there, you pull that off, you get a little screwdriver in here and your fingernails underneath, you lever that off, and in here we have one bolt in there, one bolt there, one bolt there, and we get the right bit for it, which I think is that one, which is a T30. So it's a T30 Torx. Undo those. Put them somewhere safe. There you go. And then what you need to do is I always use, you should really use something plastic, but I always use this. But what I do is I put I put a cloth down on the edge and get it started off down here. So basically, if you get it started off in this corner, so you get this with a cloth, get it underneath somewhere. Once you get it started, sometimes if you get a screwdriver as well, just put the screwdriver in there just to give you a little bit of leverage, which allows you to get this underneath then, like that. Get that in, that's it. And then once you get that started, you can go around, and then you can just pull it off. Just pull it off these poppers all the way around. And when you get it off bottom left and right, you just lift it and it comes off. And then we'll show you the bit that holds the door handle on. So we'll get the camera in close and show you that. Okay, so down here what we've got, you got this that holds the rod in, and then you have to pull it out from there. So I can't really show you that, but what we do, I can't do it with one hand. You get a screwdriver in there and then you just pull that clip back so that brass rod then just pops out. And once that does, you can get hold of that white bit or get a screwdriver in there and lever it out. So I'm just going to set you back up on a tripod. I'll put it over a little bit to one side to try and see if I can show you how it's done, but it might be quite difficult, but I'll give it a go. Okay, I'm not sure whether this is going to get this in or not. I'm trying to film from up high. I'm not sure if it'll work or not, but we'll give it a go. So I'm not sure whether this, let me just turn, I've got the sun in my eyes, so it's difficult to see whether I'm actually getting this in or not. Put the camera down a little bit. Right, I'll try and do it here, so that should just about be in. So right, so what we need to do is pop that little black clip up. That will then push out, and then you just yank that off, just like that. And that's it. That's all you have to do. That was quite simple, wasn't it? Make sure you don't lose any of your red clips. That one's fallen out from somewhere. Over here. Put that back in. Make sure they're all straight as well. They need to be straight. When you put them back in, when you put the door card back on, if there's any of them have got bent, you need to straighten them up, otherwise they won't go in properly. Okay, so that's that bit. Okay, the next thing to do, you've got to peel this back. Now the way I prefer to do it, so you've got to glue all the way along there. What some people do is they get a heat gun or a hairdryer, and they heat that up, which then allows them to peel it back. I've never actually tried that method, so I'm actually going to try it now. But what I normally do is I get a knife and I cut, peel it back, and then it allows you to get to it easily, and then I just put some duct tape around it to put it back. But I am going to try it by using a heat gun. So I'm just going to get the heat gun, set that up, and then we'll try it that way. I've got a feeling it might melt the plastic, but I'm going to try it, see if it works. Right, let's give it a try. Not convinced, but we'll try it on this one corner first, if it worked. Ooh, it does work. Burns your hands though. Ow. You need gloves on really. Oh, it's just ripped it. You know what, I'm just going to revert to plan A, because it's just ripping it anyway. I'm sure there's probably, if I turn the heat down, it'll probably work better, but I'll say this is the way I normally do it. And then you get some tape that out of the way. The only reason the window's down is because I was filming through it when I was taking off this. But what I'm going to do now is wind the window back up, because it needs to be up for you to get to it. So I'll just do that and I'll come back. Okay, I'll change my glasses, because the glasses I normally wear go dark, and you've got to get in here and be able to see what you're doing. I've also lost my tape, so I'm having to use some masking tape for the time being. So I'll just take that out of the way. I've got some black duct tape somewhere, but it seems to have disappeared. Oh, I'm going to put the window up, haven't I? I forgot to put the window up, bear with me. Right, so what I'm going to do, so I can show you properly, I'm going to continue filming from there, but I'm also going to film inside there with my phone, which will give you a good view of what we need to do. Okay, so I'll just get my phone in here. Right. So in here, that's the other end of the lock of the handle, and that nut there is the nut, the 10mm nut that is on the hinge. So as you can see, you've got a rod. The rod plugs in just there, and then it goes down there and plugs in there. Now ideally, with the passenger locks, when you buy a new passenger lock, they normally come with that rod, and that rod is already attached at the top, obviously. So if you can, the best way of doing it, if you can release that, which is the same sort of affair as we just did on the other bit, if you can release that, you can then undo that nut, which is a 10mm nut, and then you have to compress that piece there, and I'll show you on the new handle before we do it, and then wiggle it around and it will come out. You also have to take that, where are we? Take that out as well, which is another Torx. So we'll just get the tools that we need. We need a 10mm socket and a Torx for there, and we'll take that out and then we'll show you and we'll come back. Right, so we have got a T25, and you undo that. So that holds the end of the handle into the door. Take that out, put that somewhere safe, because they don't come with the new handles, so you need to keep that safe. And then we come to this 10mm socket. And doing this with one hand means that it's just turning on the hinge the other side. So I need to move the camera and show you. Okay, so you've got the hinge here and you've got the nut on the other side. Once you've got it undone, you can just do it with your fingers and it comes off. You can keep the nut. They normally come with a nut on them on the new handles. If you buy a second-hand handle, it may or may not, depending on how generous the person you bought it from is. And now what we'll do now is we've got all the nuts and everything are undone. So what we'll do is I'll get the new handle and I will show you on the new handle the bit that we need to compress. And this is sometimes a tricky bit, 'cause sometimes it can get a bit stuck. And obviously we've got to get that rod off as well. So I'm going to get that rod off first, exactly the same way as I did it with the other one. So you need to prise that little black bit out, and then the rod will just pop out. Now you need to do that on the bottom one if you can, and I'll show you why in a minute. But let's quickly just see if we can pop that off. So we've got a torch in there, just to allow us to, sometimes you do it with your finger. Sometimes, yeah, it did, it came off from your finger, that's good. Bits of the handle are falling out. Okay, now sometimes you can't get that handle out with that rod on it. It just won't come off, and you end up bending the rod. But I will show you again on the handle. If you can help it, try not to take it out of here. You've got this. Let me just get around and show you properly. So this is the new handle. So you see you've got this little plastic bush here. That's where the rod, the other end of the rod goes into. Now that's got little plastic grippers on there that the rod grips onto. If that's an old second-hand one, you often find that with the opening and closing of the door, the rod will pop out, and of course then the handle won't work. If you have a new one, it won't do that, but we're hoping that this one's going to be okay. But we need to try and get that rod out. Let's get the handle out without taking that rod off or bending it and then using it. So here we go with a second-hand handle. So you've got the complete handle, you've got a hinge, it's all there basically, apart from the bolts and of course the rod. So when this is in the door, what you have to do with one hand, I'm right-handed, so with my right hand, with the door open like it is, you can press that. When you compress that, you can see the handle goes out. By compressing that, you can then jiggle it around and get it out. So this piece here, if you can see it, this piece here goes into the door. So you need to sort of maneuver it around. You've got this shape here, top and bottom, and that fits into a shape on the door, which we'll show you in a minute when we get the handle out. But they have to be in the right place with that compressed, and then you jangle it out. So we'll try and show you. It probably sounds more difficult than it is, but you don't use brute force, but you do have to use an element of brute force. So because I'm right-handed, I get my right hand inside the door, compress it, and use my left hand on the outside, wiggle it about, and hopefully it'll come off. So let's try it. Okay, so right hand in there, wiggle it, out it comes, hopefully in one piece. This is where the rod gets stuck sometimes, which it is on this occasion. Yeah, the rod is getting stuck. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to get back inside the door and take that rod out of that handle. So I'll just do that and we'll come back. Right, okay, so I've removed that rod. The rod is here. You have to make sure when you put it back on, you make sure you get it up the right way. So that's the up. So it's got an angle that end, and then there's like a right angle at the bottom. I'm trying to get it in the video. Where are we? Where are you? There you are. So you've got an angle at the bottom, and then you've got a funny twisted angle with a sort of hook end there. So that's the top. So we'd take it off, make sure so there's no confusion. Put it down somewhere up the right way. Okay, so now that's off. That will come off quite easy. So you compress the bit that I showed you in there, and then that just comes straight out like that. And as you'll see, the passenger side is exactly the same, although the other way around, as a driver's side, because of course on a non-UK car or on a left-hand drive car, this would be the driver's side. So the only bit that's different really is this little plastic bit which just pops off, and that's where your lock barrel would go if it was a left-hand drive car. So that's it. So this is, as I say, this is the bit that you have to compress. Once you've got that compressed, you can sort of jiggle it backwards and forwards, and it will just come out. So we discard that, and then that's that bit. And then what I always like to do is, while I've got that off, because you don't really ever get the opportunity to, oops, it's a bit runny this, to clean this properly. So I like to give it a good clean. Get as much of the gunk off as you can. Bearing in mind, you know, this is a 2014 car. It's now 2022. So it's been on there a few years. If you've got a 2009 car or a 2010 car, if you're on the original handle, then you're doing really well. But yeah, it always pays just to give it a good clean. Why not? Okay, so what we do to put the new one in is exact reversal. Compress that bit down. Make sure you get the hinge correct and the hinge goes in there, ready to put the bolt on. We can put that in afterwards actually. So what you do, you can put that end in first, compress that, that slides in, push that into the hole, and then you need to make sure you line that up on that gate. If you bought an aftermarket handle, you may find that it don't fit in there properly because they are rubbish. If you buy a genuine one, it tends to fit. But that handle's not fitting on there very well. Is that something to do with the hinge? Doesn't seem to be. Don't know why that is. Well, I think once we tighten that up, that'll be fine. Yeah, that'll be fine once that's tightened up. Okay, so then you do that. That's in. Now we just got to tighten everything up, the same as we took it off. So I'm not really sure it makes any difference which way round you do this. However, one thing you do have to make sure you don't do is do up this bolt, this nut, and the torque screw too tight. Because if you do, then you'll have a problem where you'll pull the door handle out and it won't return properly. And you can sort of adjust it afterwards, but if you can get it in done up, but not too tight. And as you do that up, of course it draws it into the correct position. So at the moment it's fine because it hasn't got a rod on it, of course. So that's that bit in. Now we'll just get the socket. If I can find me socket wrench, here it is. Do that up. Not too tight. You can always adjust it afterwards. Before you put it all back together, obviously, you have to make sure it works still. So then we go back in here, we poke, let's get the torch, where's my torch gone? Just to allow you to see better what you're doing. You then poke the top of that rod into that bush in the bit that I showed you, and then it also goes into the one at the bottom, and then that little lever goes back over, and that's it, it's all in. So that should be it. So hopefully when we now release the door handle, it should just return, which it does. So if we now shut the door, two things to try, two things to test. When you put that back in, when you've shut that rather, make sure it opens, which is fine. And the other thing you need to do is make sure it locks, because if that is too tight and it doesn't activate the lock properly, then although it'll make the noise to lock the door, it won't actually do it. And I have done that myself a few times. Fine, that's fine. Unlock. Perfect, absolutely perfect. So that's it, that's all you need to do. And then the only other thing you need to do, of course, is put all this back. I found my tape, so I'm going to tape that back on, and then we'll show you how to put the handle back on. Put the door card back on, and that'll be it. There you go, all back together. And now we're going to need to put the door card. Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to put this door card back on because I'm putting new door cards on this, so I'm not going to show you. But all I will say that you have to do when you put it back, actually what I'll do is I'll come back when I get the new door cards to put on this car. I will come back and I will show you how to do it, because there is a knack to it and there is things that you need to be aware of when you put it on. So we'll come back as soon as you see me next. Will be the new door cards. We'll get them on and show you how to finish it off. Okay, so to get the door card back on, you need to make sure that all of these red tabs are straight. If you do these cars regularly, you may have a collection of these like I have. If you haven't, then you may have to just straighten them if any of them are bent, because they often do get bent. If someone has put one on and they haven't straightened it, they haven't made sure they've gone into the hole straight, then they will not go in properly and they will just bend over. So I always replace them if they're bent. So you've got this piece on here. If this piece is left on the door, you need to really ideally take it off the door and put it onto here, because if you put it onto the door, when you hang this on, it often just falls off. So to get it onto the door, first thing we've got to do is hold it up, and we've got to get this in first. So I showed you when I took it off. So you push the rod in, push the little black lever across so it's locked in place, and then snap in. Oops, it's difficult to show you. Snap that into place. If you have a look back, if you can't remember, have a look back when I took it off, and you'll see it on there. So then you hang it onto the top like so. Then you need to get on the floor, and then you need to pull it down and make sure the poppers are lined up, because if, as I say, if they're not, they'll bend. And we'll have a look around here as well. If you get one lot lined up, they tend to line up the rest of it. That's it. Okay. So that's it back on. And then you need to put the bolts back in. I think we may have lost one bolt. I think when we took the door card off, it came out somewhere, so we'll have to find one of them. When you take that one out, it never comes right out, it stays in the hole. When you take the thing off, it falls out. So we'll have to go hunting for that. So it's probably going to be on the floor down here somewhere. If not, I've got loads of them. So we'll just go and get one. Oh, there it is, I can see it. Under the car. There it is. So fix that one on. There you go, that's that. And then you just slot this back on. And then push that little cover back on. And that's it, job done. Yeah, I can't check to make sure it's locking because there's no, the battery's disconnected because, as you can probably see there, there's no seats in the car. So the battery's disconnected because, of course, we've got the airbag wires disconnected. Yeah, that's it. Job done. So that is the end of this video. That's how to take a passenger side door handle out and swap it over for a new one. I hope this is nice and detailed for you. As you can see, it's quite simple, and hopefully I didn't overcomplicate it by explaining it exactly how it's done, but that's quite an easy job, and it really should only take you 10, 15, 20 minutes at the most, really. Even if you've never done it before, it shouldn't take more than about half an hour. But it's quite an easy job, and it's pretty much similar, almost the same as doing the driver's side. You've just got an extra rod on the lock. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope this has proved useful for you. If you're not a subscriber, please hit that button, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, share this video wide. Whenever you see someone on Facebook or somewhere, ask, anyone know how to change a door handle? Send them this video. So thanks for watching. Until the next one, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.